Okay, in this video we're going to walk through how to get some dimensions set up on a Revit drawing and how to properly pull and organize your notation. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in on this outside corner of this structure. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Align Dimension tool, and I want to make sure that this is set up for this particular dimensioning, set up to face of core. Because the way I have my wall set up, I can then grab what would become the sheathing layer. This is the siding layer, the sheathing layer, and then the stud face inside here. I'm going to grab that sheathing layer for the outside corner and then find what would become the center of the window. Now this is a double window. These two windows would come from the factory, from Anderson at this point, molded together. So I would then just find what would be the center of these two windows and pull out for that particular dimension. I'm going to pull out approximately, well, I'm going to say far enough out that I'm going to miss the porch, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that dimension. I'm going to zoom back in here and find that same point on the window. So I got to find the same point on the window for the center of the hole, and then since this is an outside corner to the front porch, find the sheeting face. I'm going to pull out, come out, and drop that. If in your particular dimensioning standards you go to the stud face for the outside of the walls, that's fine. Just I would highly recommend noting that on your drawing on the title block. So again, I'm going to grab my sheeting face for the outside, come to the center of the door, come out and drop the dimension. And I'll just keep this pattern up when I come to a wall that's perpendicular to the outside wall. Here I'm going to grab the stud face, not the drywall, but the stud face, and pull out and drop that. And then again, stud face, find center of window, come on out and drop that. And I just keep going until I get to the outside of that particular wall. Pulling it out past the front porch so that they're nice and clean and lined up. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back across in the opposite direction. I'm going to get room sizes here. Again, going from sheeting face to the stud face. We'll go ahead and we'll get the size of the foyer area here and pull that out and line it up as well. And then again, we'll go ahead and grab this last dimension here that's going to go ahead and pull out for this larger room. So something here that I just noticed is that this particular dimension here is going to this inside wall. I'm going to grab this second dot and take this out to the stud face, to the sheeting face here, so that all the extension lines line up. So if you actually do place a dimension and it's in the wrong position for some reason, you can come back and clean up individual dimensions, and it's grabbing that second dot, not the one touching the wall, but the second dot out, and then just drag that to the layer that you want and let go. Now, as I come across, I want to make sure that I'm going to get one last larger dimension across. Go back here to my annotate, grab my align dimension, and I'm going to go again from sheeting face all the way across to sheeting face to the other side of the structure here. Pull out and drop that dimension. With this set up, I'm also taking a look at any type of section views, making sure that the section view call out is not over top of dimensions. It's not upsetting anything that I can read here, so I can actually see all of my dimensions. So I'll continue over here to start working on the garage, and again, I'm going to come from what would be my sheeting face to the first center here, which is my garage door. I'm going to select that, and now I'm going to pull this out to the first line of dimensioning, keeping things nice and clean and lined up. Again, I'm going to come on over here, center of door, and then again from center of door to the outside of the sheeting face for the corner. Pull this out. The last dimension I do believe I'll place here is from the sheeting back across here, so I have the overall for the garage. And I can place it on the first line or second line. It doesn't really matter. Make sure they're just cleaned up. Now, what I'm going to start doing next is start positioning dimensions for the front of the house. And what I'm going to do is actually pull these dimensions from the sheeting face. And what I'm going to do is pull out to this point, and I'm going to come to this edge of the sheeting face. And then that dimension is going to get pulled all the way past the edge of the garage, or past all of the extensions for this garage. As I continue the dimensioning process here, I will then go ahead and grab the sheeting face and then come down to the corner of the garage so I can see how far the garage actually extends out, and come out and line that up. Then I start coming down across the garage face. So I'm going to grab the sheeting. I'm going to find the center of the door, pull that out and drop it, center of door, center of window, and basically keep working my way around the outside of the building. Knowing that these dimensions can still always be moved, I can come back and adjust windows and dimensions will update. So here we are, we're going to grab the stud face. This is the wall that separates separates the garage from the house. So we'll grab that stud face, pull out and drop that particular dimension as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab this room size, this time going to the outside of the sheeting on the corner. Now, as I come out, I'm going to be actually sitting over top of this Bilco. If it's clean and I can read everything, I would keep it. If not, I would pull out further to miss that feature on the structure. The Bilco would have been dimensioned on the foundation, so it's not really truly necessary to put dimensions on the Bilco. I am going to come back, however, and I'm going to pull dimensions for the overall depth of the garage, knowing how deep the full garage is, and pull that out to this point. The only other dimension that I would place on here is from the actual full back of the house all the way across here to the garage, knowing how large that entire run would be. And then I need to know how large the entire house would be, the actual footprint of the house. I'm going to go from the front of the house here and then probably pull that all the way back to the sunroom here and pull that out. And as I go, I can see that I need to do some dimensioning on these windows. So again, I'll go from sheeting face to center of window and pull those out to here as well. And then center of window, and you can see how this process just repeats itself all the way around the structure. So with that being set up, it seems fairly simple now to go ahead and cleanly dimension your drawing, and you just keep working your way around. So that's external wall dimensioning, where it can actually locate some internal walls. But what happens here when you get into internal dimensions here that you haven't been able to pull external dimensions with? So something like this powder room, where actually you can see the doors now running into this commode. This is something where we probably want to move this over a little bit so it doesn't actually hit. Again, this could actually get shifted a little bit one way or the other after the actual fixtures are set and known and in place. That door can get shifted some on site. However, when I pull this aligned dimension, we really do want to give the builder some overall pieces of information where to frame this and the like when they start framing. So I am going to set up where the center of the door is going to be to the outside here. These dimensions get placed on the inside, and here they're getting placed in a nice clean area in this hallway. And I want to keep everything nice and neat. So I'll go give the overall, and I'll also give the door position. I can then also dimension this wall. However, this wall would actually get dimensioned from sheeting face here to stud face, and that would actually get pulled out to there. So it's not necessary to do a whole lot to the inside here, but any type of internal dimension needs to be kept nice and neat and clean. And if anything would not be able to pull to the outside, that's when an internal dimension would be placed. So maybe like the depth of this closet, and that's going to go stud face to stud face, and pull that down in a nice clean area. Now if I jump up to the second floor, this is an area where with closets and bathrooms on this inside of the house, very good place you can show some internal dimensioning, where I pull from stud face to what would become the inside stud face of the room here to give this closet wall position, and then also position for the area for the commode. And then also we'll go ahead and locate the interior wall here to the stud face for where the tub's going to get located. This wall for the bedroom would actually get dimensioned here for the outside. We'd actually go to the window for this, and this would get pulled out, and then we'd end up having an overall for the room size. So it's not necessary to position that in this area, but would be necessary to give this proper information. May or may not be necessary to give the depth of this particular wall, but if you wanted to give that, you can give that in an area such as this to keep it nice and clean and neat. Again, it is as neat and clean as possible to lay out all of your drawings. Okay, I'm going to run back down here to my first floor and take a look at just looking at some notation here. Looking at these section views. These section views will actually be used. This is going to be on A106. This is drawing 4, and then of course this is drawing 1. Any section view that is not utilized on a sheet, that's a section view that in your drawing you do not want to show. So this has just been utilized for whatever construction purposes, modeling purposes. Anything that is not utilized, I can actually select or select multiples by holding down Control, and I can go through and start selecting these things, and I can actually start turning these off so I can hide these things. because I do not want these to show up on my drawing, because that can then start causing confusion. So I'm having trouble grabbing that one. So I'll just go ahead and grab this one. And I should be able to go ahead and hold down Control and select the second one. And then I should be able to go in and hide elements. Yep, they both hide out. So that's an important thing to do. Go through and hide everything that's not going to end up on a sheet. You do not want to show, because that can create some confusion if somebody's actually looking for that section for some particular purpose. Okay, one more thing that I'm going to go through here quickly is after dimensioning is set, or before dimensioning is set, room labels also should be applied. And this works out very easily off the Architecture tab. If you grab the Room button here and then actually just mouse over in specific different rooms, you can actually see that the room indicator is going to find the exterior walls. So if I were to then start here with the front room and drop room, this becomes rooms number 1. And if I wanted to make this room number 2, then if I mouse over top of this foyer area, the problem is that this all becomes one large room. Everything here, because there's no room separator wall. So what I'm going to do is come back up to the room separator line and then draw a line from what would be a wall to another wall. Then when I go back to the room separator, or to the room tab itself, it's going to now see this as a separate room. So when I drop that into position, it is now a separate room. Then I can just go into the room label itself and I can change this. So this can be the entry. And then of course this would end up being a dining room, and so forth and so on as necessary. So I'll end up covering more information about windows and schedules, and setting up a room schedule as well in a separate video.